Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Welcome to my Christmas market build! Ho, ho, ho!
So here's the finished product. I've actually added a little more detail to this since I initially built it, so we'll talk through that now. So basically all those figures there, I've added a few extras since the initial videos. They're all Preiser figures, hand painted, and the product numbers are above. The buildings are all either Kibri or Faller brand, which is a German brand that my father put together. Now the lighting there, the three game board lighting is from Viessmann, 6079 product number, and the front little lights there, the two individual ones there, they're from Brauer, and also 3269 is their code. So when I was trying to group all the figures together, what I was trying to do is I was trying to create little scenes within the scene. That's obviously quite evident there with everyone at the tables there sitting around having a few drinks. Now I still need to hyper detail this a little bit more to make the tables a little more wood-like, and obviously the figures actually are holding cups, but maybe something on the tables. Let's get a slow motion drone going over the whole market there now. So the first thing I want to add a little bit of touch of Australia, so I've added a little kangaroo there. Obviously they don't hail in Germany, but anyway, I wanted to put one in there to add my coat of arms. Now those cars on the top left corner, they're by a brand called Breckner. Lovely little cars, and obviously fit this scene beautifully. So that tree is just a Hecky tree that I've added some snow effects to. The lighting's actually fairy lighting, and I've just wrapped it around the tree and loaded it up with some 5 volts. The band there, that was pre-painted. That's a Preiser kit, and I'll put that link to the description below. So I'm just pulling back here to give you a bit of an overview of the whole market from above. So we'll look at the lighting of the building just quickly now. That's very, very basic lighting. So that's just putting some LEDs. I think it's 3 or 4 in each building. So what I did find, if moving forward with that, if you wanted to do individual windows, Viessmann actually sell like shadow boxes, so you put the box around each individual window and you just actually light that up. But I quite like that effect. So also, if you have any issues regarding bleed through of lighting through the building, so what you could actually do is take the building outside, mask them up, or mask the windows up and paint them a flat black so they don't bleed in and out through. Quickly have a look at the lights on the fascias of the Christmas market booths. So basically we got some very thin brass strip there, and I've created a little jig there with some double-sided tape to keep them together, so there'll be 2 rows of that in very shortly. You can just see where I've marked the brass. Now the little representation on the top there is just more of a ready reckoner for me for the 2 different types of LEDs that I'm using. So just how I get the negative and the positive right. So for some reason, even in the same batch, they were different representations on what was positive, what was negative. So I'm just using 0805 SMDs, some green and some red ones, or alternately across the light. So what I'm doing here is just adding just with a micro brush, just a little bit of flux, so it just makes it a lot easier to solder them up and just get that the resin core solder flowing nicely, so we don't overheat the brass rod. And there's the first one soldered right there. As you can see, by using the flux, it's very, very easy to do. So you just got to make sure, it doesn't matter which way, whether you do the jig, but obviously you got to get the negative, or the negatives in one line, or the positive in one line. So what I'm doing one line first, which is the negative run, and there you can see I'm just putting the other one in just to get the right amount of distance between the 2 before I move ahead. It is quite a tedious little process, but if you saw how expensive these things are from Viessmann, you would spend the time. So I'm just testing the light there. You can see the first one, I got a red one. And I like to test each of them as I go, because sometimes you add too much heat to them, you actually do damage the SMD LED. So just quickly let it buzz through and put the rest in, and we'll show the other side, and that's what we look like. So green, red, green, red, green, red. the representation is not all that great there. It is actually more of a green. It's showing very yellow there, but it's definitely a green LED. Undercoated that with a green rattle can. So obviously just take that outside, use your PPE to make sure that's in. I'm just adding some Aleene's sticky glue there and just making sure I don't get any on the actual globe of the SMD. So now I'll show you what I'm trying to do. So from here, I'm just going to put the knock leaves on it. I will put the description to that below, and a little plate there to catch the excess, and I'll just give it a shake out. So I've just turned it on, so it's just a matter of going through and just getting a scalpel blade and just pulling any of the foliage away. This video is proudly sponsored by PCBWay.com. If you're a tinkerer, inventor, or advanced electrical engineer, you need to check out PCBWay, or you are seriously missing out. They are passionate about PCBs ranging from standard to advanced PCBs with 1 to 30 layers with full-featured printed circuit boards. PCBWay don't stop there. They offer basically everything you need to make your ideas a reality. Whether you need 3D prints, injection molding, or CNC machining, assembly, or basic PCB manufacturing, they can do it all for highly competitive prices. Check out their awesome services in the link below and their offer to my viewers who support this channel. So let's get into making some paving stains. So as you can see, I've marked my streets up on the extruded foam just with some pencil. And then what I'm going to use this product from Woodland Scenic, which is part of their subterranean mix there, which is some paving tape. So I'll get that out of the box and I'll show you what that looks like. So it's a great little product, comes in probably I think 5 or 10 meters. As you can see, it's got a slight height profile to it and a sticky adhesive back. So what you do, you pull the adhesive or 3M tape back, and then you stick it to your sub road base or whatever you're connecting it to. So what it actually, so you put it each side of the road, and what you can actually do is then you put your plaster in between it, and then you screed it through, and it makes it nice and flat and level. So you can also see it does, you can go around corners with it. It's just a matter of stretching the tape and just pushing it down nice and firm. So it's just a matter of continuing through and finishing off whatever road base you want to do. What I'm doing now, I'm just making there to sort of dam it off so we don't make an awful mess there. So you can see of each of the 3 ends, I have sort of dammed it off. Now what we're going to do is we'll look at putting the plaster through. So what I'm doing there, I'm just roughing the surface up there a little bit. That's just so the plaster sticks to the sub road base a little bit better. So here's me mixing up plaster. I'm just using a basic plaster of Paris. There is Woodland Scenic's products specifically for this, but I just find plaster of Paris works more than fine for me. So the mixture I'm going to do there is somewhere, it's almost like probably a thick porridge type consistency. You don't want it too watery, you sort of want to let it hold its own. So what I'm mixing there, that I would think that is a little bit too thick, so I'll just add a little bit more water. So that's the sort of consistency there, sort of like a slightly melting ice cream, you might say. So it's just a matter of just dolloping it through, working methodically from one end and working to the other. I don't suggest putting all the plaster in at once for the whole roadway. You sort of just work your way along, because you will make a terrible mess. So you can sort of see I'm just sort of breaking the plaster up there and just sort of slowly working it into that reservoir that you've made there with the paving tape. Then when you sort of get it sort of all sort of stretched out, or that's just a matter of keeping that screed nice and level to both the paving tapes, and you just slowly pull it through. Don't be too concerned if you've got a little bit of overhang there. That can always, once it's dry, you can easily cut all that out. That's fine. So it's just a matter of keeping it as smooth as you can. And we will go back through later on to give it a nice smooth texture. So there we go. I'm just going to go in with a little trowel there. Sometimes it is just to clean up those edges. If that's what you want to do at the time, we can do that, or you can do that later, as I've spoken of before. So it's just a matter of methodically going through and just smoothing it out. I've got a little trowel there. So just a little trick is, if the plaster starts sticking to the trowel, I will just wet the trowel a little bit, and that just gives me a little bit of lubrication, and that works very nicely. So that's probably enough at this point in time for that part. I'll start going through and doing that top end now, and adding the plaster to it. Okay, so once we've got this all dry, this is probably the most tedious process of this whole build. However, I believe it's probably the most rewarding part of the build is etching the cobblestone. So basically what I've done there is you draw some horizontal lines to sort of get your course of your paving stones, and then along the top edge or the bottom edge of the screen there, you can see where I just indicated that's a tapping stone. So it's just a matter of using a really fine little, some sort of etching device. Sometimes you can get them from your dentist if you're lucky enough, and then it's just a matter of working out the size of the paving stones that you want to etch. All honesty, these are probably a little bit overscaled, just purely because what'll happen is if you make them too small, the actual top layer of the plaster will start delaminating and just peeling off. So once you've got your vertical lines, or sorry, your horizontal lines in, just a matter of just lightly scribing it through and keeping it parallel to the course before. And just be mindful, don't over accentuate this part, so don't push too hard in on that scribe. And then once you sort of brush that away, it's quite a messy process this. It's just a matter of going through and etching all the courses in between, just to make sure you're offsetting all your gaps to make it look a little bit more realistic. And being I'm sort of modelling a sort of more of a medieval type village or town centre, the paving stones are obviously very irregular. To give you some sort of idea, in metric terms, those paving stones would probably be a few millimetres by a few millimetres. Some a little bit larger, some a little bit smaller, but on average. So what I'm doing here by drawing those lines in there, I wanted to create sort of a phenomena of new meets old. So sort of the old world paving stones meets the more up-to-date asphalt type area of this market. And you'll see when I scribe through each course or each line of paving, I meet up with those curved lines, and you'll see when I start colouring it actually makes a really nice effect. Okay, so now I've done all the etching I wanted to do. You can sort of see over here on the right hand side that with those curved lines what sort of effect we get there. So that's had a light sort of colour of this Tamir light grey. So the next colours we're going to go through is this Arctic Blue by Vallejo. This colour's going to go on and you're going to think, what are you doing? This looks horrendous, this next bit. But trust me, just keep following along. What we're doing, we're building the colours up. In particular, we're getting this colour in between all the paving stones, and then we'll do some dry brushing and some sponging techniques. So we've got Art Deco here, a slate grey colour. So what I'm going to do here after this is all dry, so you make sure this is all dry, and also an Indian turquoise by Americana. So it's just a matter of just doing it's almost like a dry brushing technique, but it's just dabbing on with just a normal everyday sort of sponge. I've got a little bit too much paint on there, so just be mindful. And it's just a matter of going around and picking up various areas around that area with those different colours that I've just mentioned. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go in with a raw umber, which is also by Americana, and we're going to make a wash out of this. So what we're now going to do is start tying all these colours together. It's, if you're aware of another process called leopard spotting, it's a little bit similar to that. So what it does, it just takes all those harshness of all those edges of all those colours and just brings it all together really nicely. So I've just got into a paint palette there, washed it right down with just a small little tip with just some normal household tap water. So the next thing we're going to look at is painting the mortar. So that's what we got after all those processes. Just be very mindful, this needs to be very dry, all this process, else you just basically mix the colour and make it a huge mess. So what I'm going to go with is an sort of antique white and slate grey and mix them together in the paint palette, all by Americana there. So what I'm doing with that Q-tip is just taking away some of that top layer, just to bring back just the natural colour that I've got there. And then I'm just going to go through with a rag, just ever so, with just a little bit of water, just to bring back sort of not the final color, but the other wash that we've got there that we've put over the top. Okay, so we're getting a lot closer to the final product here. So I'm just going to go back in with another Vallejo color. This is sort of another lightish sort of gray. And that's what that color is there from all the sort of the part of the wavy lines. So what I'm going to do now is I'll probably go back in with some highlighting powders. So Vallejo white and black weathering powders. And then it's just a matter of going through the whole lot. Now, this is sort of getting very close to sort of the final sort of product, what I'm trying to achieve. So you can sort of see that sort of the old school paving stones and also the new world type asphalt, where they've just been patching it up over the many years. So up on screen here is me doing all the snow effects there. So comment below if you'd like me to go through a little more detail on how I did all that. So that's the end of this video. So thanks for watching. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. It's coming around very, very quickly. It's only a few weeks away before the Jolly Philo comes to town and hopefully brings some lovely train items for us. I know I'm looking forward to a few things that I've got on the order. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Make sure you subscribe, click that little bell icon to be notified of upcoming videos. Support us on Patreon, like us on Facebook and Instagram at Model Railroad Technique.